traveled the world. He's looked at industrial devastation.
Edward is regarded as one of the world's most accomplished contemporary photographers.
Now it gives me enormous pleasure to welcome Edward Burtynsky.
Great to be here. I've taken references from abstract expressionism,
I would suggest that a large fraction of your audience is sort of affluent, more of the elite elements of society. They're the ones that can afford your works.
It's not that you're saying, this is the biggest thing and this is a scandal upon humanity, or this is the biggest thing and look how great we are. It's a more neutral position.
It is.
It wasn't like I went out as an environmentalist to indict industry or anything like that. It was never from that point of view. Probably an artist first, and the fact is that the environment is certainly, at play. But I'm not a card-carrying environmentalist. But I haven't strapped myself to any trees recently or anything like that.
Security.
What is worth more, art or life?
It is unequivocal that human activities are responsible for climate change.
It is warming the planet to the point where it's causing irreversible damage.
Climate change protests led to dozens of arrests.
Social media are sharing their anxious feelings and fears about climate change. So much so, there's a name for this. It's called eco-anxiety.
Imminent effects of climate change has grown in the past decade. Simultaneously, so has a feeling of detachment.
This hamper thing for the Earth is apathy.
People are apathetic.
But beyond the mass protests, climate change has inspired artists to create works that express anything from people's fears to the scientific consensus around the issue. But are these artworks effective in getting a message across? What is the role of art in communicating climate change?
Land is power, acquired through inheritance, purchase, or conquest. It is rarely used as is, but instead manipulated, transformed, and represented through art and photography. Landscape is never neutral. It is always political.
Now I want to talk about the history of landscape photography.
Since the invention of the camera in 1839, the representation of landscapes has served as a tool for imperialism, not only in what is depicted, but the deliberately omitted. An example of this is found in the survey photography of the American West by Timothy O'Sullivan and William Henry Jackson during the era of Manifest Destiny, a 19th century doctrine asserting the United States' supposed God-given right to explore, conquer, and claim new territories. These survey photographs portrayed the untouched wilderness as a source of abundant resources ripe for industrialization, while omitting the presence of indigenous communities that already inhabited the land. This idealized representation of landscapes persisted through the works of photographers like Carlton Watkins and Ansel Adams, using well-established tropes such as the pictorial and the sublime.
1757, Edmund Burke wrote one of the most famous texts concerning the sublime, a philosophical enquiry into the origin of our ideas of the sublime and beautiful. That is a title. According to Burke, the sublime moves us more supremely than the beautiful. With encounters with the sublime, we are forced to face our insignificance, and there is something both terrifying and exciting about that.
This is almost an abstract one, isn't it?
Well, you bring up an interesting point there as to whether you can actually have abstraction in photography, because you do have the inevitably realistic image of the lens. I like to use the word extract, and the shapes of nature are then organized in the camera, in the mind first, and in the format, and develop towards a formal statement relationship. It can't be abstract, it can be highly selective.
You know, I started off trying to follow my dreams and follow my passions, and landscape photography was really where it started, and it was like looking at that kind of pristine landscape, a la kind of Edward Weston and Ansel Adams, but doing it in color and large format and trying to bring color to it. That pristine Ansel Adams photography and before that Carlton Watkins was what Congress in America was looking at when they created the national park system. So, so it had a power. It had a narrative within their evolution and the creation of these amazing parks that preserve that beauty. You can photograph any, beautiful landscape, and it's at this point, and it's not going to have any effect. It's not going to make the change. But showing the landscape that we change became far more, I think, compelling for me.
You have that vision, but then you don't go to it as a photographic journalist or someone reporting on it or someone bringing back the most graphic images of what's going on. You bring back these beautiful images. You go to it as artist.
Well, I kind of thought, first off, it's not hard to make a terrible, ugly picture. It's pretty easy, and I don't think people engage with that. I think, maybe it's deserving of that, but I don't necessarily think that engagement happens.
In 1991, Ingrid Sitchy wrote an article for The New Yorker titled Good Intentions, where she criticised acclaimed photojournalist Sebastian Salgado for blurring the lines between aesthetics and politics in his depictions of suffering. Sitchy argued that the beautification of tragedy can lead to passive contemplation rather than active engagement. She stated, "To aestheticize tragedy is the fastest way to anaesthetize the feelings of those who are witnessing it. Beauty is a call to admiration, not to action." When I first encountered Burtynsky's work, I, like many others, was drawn in by his meticulous compositions and captivating use of lighting. But it was his series on the Deepwater Horizon oil spill that truly gave me pause. In particular, the third image in this series, titled Oil Spill 3. It struck a chord with me. It reminded me of the serene yet ominous seascapes of Julius Olson, a stark contrast to the devastating reality it depicted.
Greatest oil spill in American history.
The explosion killed 11 crew members.
This turtle is among the victims of the Gulf oil spill. It is one of more than 300 turtles that the Oceana Conservation Organization says has been found dead or injured. Birds are dying in large numbers.
brother's at the bottom of the Gulf of Mexico. He shouldn't be there. None of them should.
In March 1993, photojournalist Kevin Carter captured an iconic image during Sudan's famine, the vulture and the little girl. The photograph sparked widespread outrage, questioning Carter's morality and compassion. People wondered how he could take the image and not help the girl. They asked how he could be so detached and where his humanity was. Despite depicting widespread devastation, which has undoubtedly led to the suffering of thousands, if not millions, Burtynsky's images are often celebrated as art, which begs the question, why aren't artists like him held to the same moral scrutiny? Could it be that beyond Burtynsky's aesthetic choices, the very essence of landscape photography fosters a sense of apathy? Viewing something from a distance often accentuates the feeling of being an outsider, forcing viewers to reconcile the unfamiliar with their own reality, which may not directly impact them.
Psychological research proposes that the further an object or concept is from a person's experience, the more abstract it becomes to them. This is the basic premise of construal level theory, or CLT. CLT provides a way to understand behavior, decision-making, and thought by linking the construal level, which is the degree of mental abstraction, to the psychological distance between an observer and a target.
Additionally, Burtynsky's deliberate omission of people, a common practice in landscape art and photography, further hinders viewers from contextualizing and empathizing with the issues he portrays. This absence of human presence obstructs any potential connection and the inherent urge to take action. Burtynsky is not alone in employing abstraction and objectivity in his landscapes. Similar techniques are evident in the works of artists like Andreas Gursky. Like Burtynsky, Gursky shies away from aligning his work with explicit political messages. However, the question arises, why do both these artists refrain from doing so? Merely by choosing subjects revolving around land transformation, their images carry political significance and inevitably spark discussions on environmentalism and climate change. Yet it's intriguing why they're so hesitant to integrate activism into their art. Deborah Bright, in response to her 1985 essay titled On Mother Nature and Marlborough Men, suggests that photographers who eschew political responsibility grant viewers greater interpretive freedom. However, this also leaves the door open for various entities such as corporations, governments, and the military to co-opt the photographs for their own agendas.
I see the work as like revelatory and not accusatory, because I think the piece can sit in a corporate wall. It can also sit on the wall of an environmental group as well. Not trying to pin a meaning on it saying this is bad or this is good. I'm saying this exists.
Is it merely motivated by financial gain? It's strikingly ironic that Burtynsky captures images portraying the exploitation of the earth. All the while, as a heterosexual white man, he further profits from exploiting Mother Nature through his work. Land transformation stands as one of the most pressing threats fueling the climate crisis, destabilizing ecosystems and exasperating environmental degradation. Artists, particularly those capturing landscapes, hold a unique position to influence public perception and catalyze change. Remaining neutral in their depiction of such critical issues fosters apathy and dilutes the urgency for action. When an artist's work inherently engages with themes of environmental destruction, neutrality becomes complicity in perpetuating harm. Profiting from the devastation of our planet not only perpetuates environmental exploitation, but also undermines the integrity of artistic expression. Artists have a moral imperative to leverage their platform for advocacy and mobilize collective action against environmental devastation.
Climate change as a whole, it has become overwhelming. It's become unimaginable. And because it's unimaginable, it's becoming unactionable. So I believe something, that we're not only in a climate crisis, but we're also in an imagination crisis. And I also believe that that's the part that can be solved by art.
Public art has the ability to bring art outside the galleries and place it in our daily lives, surround us with it, and bring art to the masses.
I really wanted to communicate about my passion towards the ocean, and I wanted to communicate about this global issue of environmental pollution.
The goal of art is not to beautify everything.
You know, I have this message that I really believe in, which is about facing the horrors of our time.
When people really understand art as a social tool, we see healthier, happier, more engaged people.
I'm really interested in environmental issues and finding a way to blend awareness with photography.
And as Lisa Lowenz is talking, I'm casually leafing through this calendar of hers, quite remarkable, simply called, even though this is March now, come to April, 1984, A View from 3 Mile Island.
This work is the first step out of the imagination crisis and into solving the climate crisis, because it shows us that today matters, and today matters.